Hey everyone, welcome. Hi, you and you. Welcome back to Lovely J Podcast. This is Miss Coco Bowden, and I'm gonna talk to y'all real quick because I'm in the midst of doing something. I might get 15 minutes in, I don't know. But listen, I told y'all the other day that if you really follow my podcast, then you know that there's nothing out here that cannot be induced, including dementia. I told you that it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and I don't think it's been picked up on too much by mental health professionals, because certainly when I went to different therapists, and these therapists did not have a clue, or either they just played dumb. They didn't have a clue as to what I was talking about when I said the cycle. And I call it the cycle because I experienced something similar to what we're seeing with Wendy Williams. And during that time, I had to really just be certain ways to get through it. When I saw Wendy Williams, I said, oh my God, she's in the cycle. That's the last podcast that I did concerning Wendy Williams. And in this cycle, you have different types of emotions. But the thing about the cycle is that cycle of emotions does not change. That's how it's very predictable what they're going to do next, because they've actually trained you to the bruiser, which in this case would now turn to be, you can go from being the one that needs help to being the one that's the bruiser and being abusive to others around you. And that's what we're seeing with Wendy Williams. Now, I have not watched the clip all the way through. Where's Wendy? I haven't seen any of it. I've just been watching bits and pieces of what the commentaries are saying. And it's very consistent in what I have seen over the time, my lifetime, just being in a regular neighborhood. I mean, us from regular neighborhoods, we already knew what time it was. We knew that this thing was induced and that she can come out of it. That's why I was saying it wouldn't surprise me if she didn't come back to doing some type of talk show or podcast, but she's just got to get sober. It's a matter of being sober, because right now everything in her is drunken. It's drunken. And it's going to take a while for that stuff to come out of her. And then you don't know who's on side of her, giving her the pills to keep her like this. See, there's certain medications that you can take that will keep you acting a certain way, like you got dementia, or that would keep you from being able to control your thoughts and you have these outbursts. There's certain things that can be done to a person to make a person go flat out crazy temporarily. Or it could be long term. I've seen this. I've seen it done before. That's how I can talk about it. And with the conservatorship, they need Wendy to stay as incapacitated as they can keep her, but keep her alive. Don't kill her, but keep her alive so they can get the money. Because if Wendy's dead, they don't really get the money like that. A lot of people lose their job. But with Wendy alive, you know, they can feed off of that. They can feed off of her finances, do what they want to do, and basically just leave Wendy with the hopes of you're going to have your show again. And Wendy can get the show back again. But she's got to straighten up and she's got to really want it. But right now where she's at is coming from emotional damage, ego damage. See, Wendy Williams is ego driven. That's why everything she talks about is I, me. And she acts like this child because she's emotionally driven. And when you see someone with that much admiration for themselves, that's it's dangerous. It's harmful. And it can cause these diluted experiences to make you think that the world owes you something. What Wendy needs in her life is somebody who's going to really speak up to her and hold her accountable for everything that she's saying and doing. Because even though she went through all this hurt and now she's broken, she's dealing with a broken heart. Well, let me say, Not a broken heart, because she knew that Kevin was cheating on her. What she's dealing with is a broken ego because he had that baby. That was it's one thing to share a man, but to share a baby? He violated her with that. The cheating was already bad enough, but she could get past that. But the fact now little Kevin has a sibling that's, kin, that's brother or sister to her son. So that's a problem. That's what started spurring her out of control. See, before she could manage where she was at handling the alcohol, and one thing I tell you about drugs and alcohol, if you're a drug addict, you got to swap that for something. People think addiction is clean. Addiction is one of the dirtiest things out here, but there ain't a person out here in this world that does not suffer from addictions. It can be any kind of addictions, food, whatever. Cigarettes. I had a cigarette addiction, and I swapped my cigarette addiction, and next thing you know, I got a sugar addiction. And now I'm wondering, what am I going to swap this sugar addiction with? But that's how it works. It works. It's just something for something until you're strong enough to be and disciplined enough to overcome those battles. Right now, she's not strong enough to overcome it, and people are eating it up. They love it because, see, shows like this, they may have thought it was going to help them, but I honestly think it's going to hurt them a lot more putting Wendy out there than it will to help. It's going to make the ones around her look guilty, even though Wendy knows what Wendy wants to do. Wendy knows. You can tell by how she answers. Wendy's just in a broken state right now. That ego is broken. You know what it takes to build that ego up? Just what she's doing. Controlling others. That's what it takes. And that's what that big ego is all about. Egotistic. She's got to build herself up by bringing others down. And in the process, in order to get the nerve to bring others down, because she already done been hurt through all this through the cheating and everything that Big Kevin done. Because, listen, these are people she bragged on. She bragged on Big Kevin, almost every time she was on the air. And he pulled the rug from underneath her with that young woman, and then had a house right around the corner from her. When she came on her show and started telling people that, hey, this is what's going on with my personal life, she was trying to do damage control. She was trying to control it, control the narrative of what people thought about it, and she couldn't do it. She let it out, but it was good that she let it out. She was trying to beat the tabloids and all them. She was trying to tell her story, basically, before anybody else could get out there and tell her story. The only problem with this was, mentally, she was not ready for that. She wasn't ready for what was to come back behind it. The repercussions of telling your story is, if you're not mentally strong enough to handle what's going to come behind it, then it's better to shut up. Don't say a word. But that's not what Wendy did. Wendy jumped out there ahead of people and told her story because she wanted to be the first one to tell it, because people were already getting little winds and whiffs of it. And the moment she released that story out of her mouth is the moment she sure enough started coming down. That's the moment she lost her, was whenever she had to say, my world is broken. Well, she didn't say that, but that's where she was at in life. Everything I worked so hard for is now broken, damaged, and tarnished. And that broke her ego. It's ego. Little Kevin knows his mother better than anybody else. And he knows that's what brought his mama down. And that's why he was trying to keep her away from certain things. And she's going to rebel against the family, because when the family has your best interest, that's the last thing you want to hear whenever you're out here trying to swap, on these drugs, alcohol, whatever it is. She swapped out something for something, and the swap did not work the way it was supposed to. She just probably felt like she had to have something, and that's what she's living off of now. If you take this alcohol from Wendy right now and you don't take it away from her in a way that she is disciplined to control her behavior and to want to get well, you could very well bring her down to her death. And I say that because I've seen people who have went through this, and they may not have had as much money. Regular neighborhoods may not have as much money, but the conclusion is the same. If you take something away from somebody that is giving them life, and that's the only thing right now that they finding any life in, then you're going to lead them to some type of death. It could be a spiritual death. It could be a natural death. But if you take that man away from his alcohol and you don't have something in place to help him to stay disciplined, that man will come back and binge it. And that may be it for them. So it's a hard win to see blowing on Wendy's future right now. But I can tell you, with the right discipline and mental health counseling, she can get through this. Because the article that I saw is saying that her dementia is induced. And that's just what we were thinking. Let me see here if it'll let me read it a little bit. Wendy Williams, dementia caused by alcoholism, experts say. Let me see. Okay, I gotta make sure y'all are still on here with me. Y'all still here? Okay. I'm gonna read a little bit of it. Former TV talk show host Wendy Williams, 59, was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and aphasia, which impairs the ability to communicate in 2023, a representative confirmed on Thursday. Given Williams' reported history of alcoholism, experts are speaking out about the potential link between her alcohol abuse and current cognitive issues. Thursday's announcement of Williams' diagnosis came ahead of a new Lifetime documentary titled "Where is Wendy Williams?" that will premiere. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so basically, we're looking at a woman who is doing this to herself. Is it fair that I just say that? She's a woman who's doing this to herself in hopes of making her comeback, in hopes of Big Kevin coming back and rebuilding. Now, there's a possibility that that's what's in her head, that she wants to rebuild everything that Kevin broke. She's not going to take any blame for anything because she's too egotistic to do that, which we're seeing in the clips that they are showing on YouTube, because that's where I've been going to YouTube, watching clips here and there. And she's not really going to get up under her family like that, because her family, we all got that family that think they know what's best for us, and they don't always have our best interests. They just want to say, see, you got to realize, if she's egotistical, imagine what her family is. Not everybody is humble. And her sister do got a little snap in her voice, just like her. And the reason why they may want to get involved is because you're making us look bad. You're making the family look bad. You won't let us help you, but we're here to help you. But at the same time, they're also there to save face and save grace. They're there to make themselves feel better out of guilt that people may be pressuring on them. Won't you go see about your family member? I remember I used to have people in my family like that. They'd be like, won't you go see about your family member? That's your responsibility. Well, sometimes it is your responsibility, and other times it is what it is. Because I've had people that would come to see about me that I know really wasn't coming to see about me out of genuine concern. They came to see about me out of the fact that they didn't want to look bad or look like the person who wasn't giving their all to make sure I was well taken care of. That's what that was. And that's what we're seeing with Wendy Williams' family. They are the best ones for the guardianship. I would say they are probably the best ones for that part. Give it back to Kevin, because Kevin knows what his mama want to do. Just let them live their lives out. You got to let people live their lives out. The more you feed into Wendy's delusions and Wendy's habits, the more Wendy gonna do that, because that's the only spotlight she getting. But if you take that light off and underneath her and let her learn how to stand on her own with the health conditions that she has, and, knowing that she may not be able to go back to TV right now or radio, it's going to be the best thing for her is to teach her how to stand. Even when she's sitting there saying, no, no, no. Well, you got to find somebody who got backbone to stand there and be with her. Well, we'll wait this thing out until you do want to do it. It's just like watching a kid. A kid will sit there and tell you, no, I'm not going to eat this, knowing that they need to eat, knowing that they're hungry. They'll tell you, I don't want this to eat because they're spoiled. They want McDonald's. They want Chuck E. Cheese, And they'll sit there, I'm not going to eat this rice and chicken that has been put before them. But if you give them time and don't give in to give them snacks and to rush to McDonald's to their every need, you give them time, they'll come around and say, where's that chicken and rice at? Do we still got it? They'll eat it too. And they'll love it. And that's what Wendy is. Wendy needs somebody to take that silver spoon right out of her mouth or that bottle and let her see what it feels like to be feeling again. Because right now she's doing everything she can do not to feel. She needs to feel what life and love is. But she don't need it through down her throat. Anybody that ever came through that I saw that came through situations that's similar to hers, it's because they realized that they needed help. Right now, Wendy doesn't see that she needs help. She thinks she's still got it going on, and as long as you got a wig and some makeup, that's it. That's how she's feeling. And sadly to say, that's exactly how we have been trained to feel by social media. That as long as we can throw on a wig and shake our hair and move about, that's all. That's all we need in life. And that's what people live off of. The fact that if you can give me a wig and some makeup and get my nails done, I'm going to play this role, whether you like it or not. And then get so comfortable, caught up in these roles of trying to prove who you are, that you don't actually live and you don't actually do a thing. All you do really is just what Wendy is doing. Induce sickness, mental illness. You know what induced is, right? Y'all, give me a second. Got to stand out this door a minute. But do you know what induced is? Induced is when somebody makes you do something. Or you put yourself in a position to do something. It's like, look at it like a woman who is gone past her due date. Her pregnancy due date. And the doctor says, well, we're going to have to induce you into labor. Which means now she's going to get labor. She's going to be put into labor. She's going to start feeling pains and she's going to have a baby. But not by her own doing. She's going to have a baby because she was induced by medication to have a baby. That's how it is with Wendy. This dementia thing is like I said. That dementia thing is induced. The alcohol is inducing cognitive issues. In our world where I live at, where it's a poor community, we call that being drunk. They just trying to say it in a pretty nice and dragged out way. But the real answer to that is she's an alcoholic and she's drunk. Her mind is intoxicated. Her brain is intoxicated. That's what she is. That's why she was in the sober living house, so she could stay sober. She's intoxicated. Intoxicated with medication, intoxicated with whatever alcohol she chose. She's intoxicated with this life of hers. She's intoxicated in all areas of her life right now. And she needs to sort this out one thing at a time. Meanwhile, I hope y'all have enjoyed listening to Lovely J Podcast. And I've got some things to go do, but I wanted to come on and say what I felt about Wendy Williams. We're going to continue to follow this story. And I hope Wendy gets better for herself. But I'm going to tell you something. If a person don't want it for themselves, you can stand in the midst of the fire all you want to. But if she don't want it for herself, she'll bring everybody down around her. So her family being cut off may not be such a bad thing like it's looking. I think everybody's more focused on the money thing. But it may not be such a bad thing being cut off. Sometimes being cut off is a blessing in disguise. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and happiness.